Welcome to our weekly drone dates with Women and Drones Africa, and this is our Thursday Fireside Chat. And of course, this is becoming a global platform in a way, because we have so many of our Women in Drones Africa supporters dialing in from all over the world. So it's becoming a real pleasure to host people from not only our continent but outside, and also we have our gentlemen colleagues who join us too. So that's always special. And so welcome, Craig. I think you're our only, oh no, and Vinny as well. So this is very cool. And I don't know Vinny, so I'm going by the profile picture on there. So this is our friendly forum to share, inspire, learn. These sessions are always recorded and they're going to be posted out. So, you know, whatever comes out of the session, we often have connections and actions and things that that we can really have tangible outputs on, but also, you know, as they're posted, people follow up after the event. So I'm so pleased today to introduce two hugely respected players in our country, and our guests today, this is a duo today, is Tamiko Sher and Dr. She goes by Dr. J. She's down there on my screen. I don't know where she is for you. Just wave, Dr. J. And Tamiko and Jabulile are going to be chatting about the research that they are doing for a pending publication on the state of the drone industry in South Africa and its potential for entrepreneurship opportunities. Now, this is so topical, and I actually posted this out to a few people that have been reaching out to me that are doing their own research, who asked for papers and things. I'm like, that doesn't exist yet. People are working on it. So, you know, but this kind of research is expensive, it's timeous, and it really needs connections and a network. And I've been fortunate to be, you know, kind of having inputted a little bit just by one conversation, but I know there is a lot of work that's going into this. So I don't want to miss a real you know, opportunity to have you guys introduce yourselves, because I don't think I would do you justice. But please, may I open the floor to you two, how you want to be doing this, and you know, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Queen Desi, and everyone who's participated. Jabulile, would you like me to share?
Yes, please.
Tamiko, it was a little quiet. Is there any way to make it a little louder?
Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
You should be able to share because you're a co-host. You should be able to.
Yeah, I hold on a second. I have a very old laptop, so let me just see. I don't normally use this one when I'm going.
Or should I try from my side? Are you okay?
Oh, here we go. Okay, got it. Can everybody see, or do I need to expand it out?
If you can expand it, that would be great, but we can see, which is perfect. Wonderful.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Tamiko. Okay, good.
Tell me when you went to the next page.
Okay, I'll do that. Good evening, ladies. Lovely to meet all of you. It's my first time joining you, but I already feel the excitement and the spirit and the communication, I mean, the community and the relationships that are going on. which is exciting, and we're already feeling welcome. So we from FIR, so myself and Tamiko are co-founders, and we started, still a startup, we started African Institute for Entrepreneurship as partners. And our first, so the drone publication is our first project under the banner of the African Institute. And I'm sure you've heard a bit, Tamiko has joined before, and we got some of your ladies helping us with our interviews, which is very exciting. So we are here today just to share a bit in terms of what we are all about, what we are up to, what have we been doing, and what you can look out for in the next 2 months or so. If you can go to the next slide. Kim has already kind of like introduced me. I'm a lecturer, I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of things except being a lecturer. I'm also a business and executive coach, amongst other things that I do. And I'm also a researcher, which makes me to be part of this project that we are working on now. So just a bit about our organization. So we are really trying to get into the space. We are an NPO. We're trying to get into a space where we're looking at entrepreneurship. We're hoping to look at it from the continent side. And our company really is looking at different things. We've got about 5 pillars that we are focusing on. First one being research, and the drone publication is one of them. And obviously with research, the other thing that comes after that is thought leadership, of which we are hoping after publishing our drone publication, you'll start seeing more of us out there talking a bit more about what we're doing and what we found in the space. So as we all know that drones is kind of like a new technology, is a new thing, nobody knows about it. So when you do research about it, you have to really dig deep to find the information. As Kim was saying, that there are no papers, the literature is not there yet. And we found that as well, and we are relying a lot on people's experiences so far, those who are already in the industry. And we're hoping to get all this information and put it together so that at the end of the day, then we are able to go out there and then start talking a bit more and be kind of like the leaders in terms of talking to drone technology, opportunities for entrepreneurs, and looking at the ecosystem as a whole. As one of our key pillars is the ecosystem facilitation. So looking not only just at drones, but drones is our first project that we're starting with, but we're hoping to expand and look at a little bit more opportunities that are out there. And out of that, of course, a lot of publications and case studies that are going to follow from that. And then also an entrepreneurship initiative that will support a lot of things that are going to come out in terms of skills and whatever the things that are going to come out, so that we create this conducive environment where we can support and make sure that we've got some kind of like evidence-based practices that helps in terms of these new technologies that are coming out. So we always talk about 4IR, 5IR, and all those kind of things. And South Africa is still at a very early stage, and we're hoping that we can be the leader in trying to get all this information together and putting it out there as a form of support to get the process and the ecosystem working. The next slide, Tamiko. Okay, so this is a bit about the publication itself, of which Tamiko will talk to it more, because she's the one who's been involved a lot in terms of the the interviews and stuff. But one of the things, as those who are in South Africa, you will know that unemployment is the biggest issue in South Africa, especially youth unemployment, of which some of the people with what is happening now in the country, some people link it back to that, to say the unemployment issue, people are hungry and those kind of things, there are no opportunities. That's why people behave the way they are behaving. But we became bold and say, let's get into this industry that we don't know. At least Tamiko knows a bit because she's got a pilot license. And see what are the opportunities for our young people, what are the supply chains, the ecosystem, and those things that we can be able to unpack so that at least we are able to put it out there and support our young people, support especially entrepreneurs, because you'll find that in South Africa, most of us, we all run to the industries that are known, and we forget about the new ones that are coming, or we are scared to get to the new ones that are coming because there isn't enough information out there. And we are hoping that with our publication, we'll be able to play our role within that space. So I'm not going through the slides word for word. We will share it, you'll be able to read. So I'm just taking you high level in terms of what is it all about and what we are all about. The next slide, Tamiko. I think the next slide takes me to give back to you. So that was just a bit about us. I've introduced myself already, and I will allow my partner to introduce herself in terms of the things that makes her tick. Tamiko?
Yes, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Desi, am I okay for volume now?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So I just want to say thank you. It's really honor. I'm really honored. We're both honored to be part of this. You have an amazing group, and we are looking to put a splash on women in drones in our publication. And a few of you will, we will have some of the women in drones featuring in our best practice scenarios. So like Jabulile said, I'm a pilot. I've been a pilot for 26 years and a commercial pilot with an IF rating since 16. But when I discovered how dynamic the industry was, I was really, really astonished. And some people have in the interviews, we've now conducted 34 interviews. They've all been transcribed. And they've compared it to the advent of the cell phone. And those of you, because a lot of you who are in the industry now are really in that early adopter phase. And what's really been amazing for me out of these interviews is expand on the linkages. I've got people who are talking about data integration with satellite, with space, the ancillary technology. It's just astonishing and exciting. I'm not going to share insights today because we are still in the process of writing, but I can just share with you what things are looking like right now. So the total team on the research is 15 people. The timing started in May, and I think some of you will remember I came on and I spoke to you in May to September. We'll be launching, we've been now confirmed we're going to be at the South African Innovation Summit, which is the largest innovation summit in Africa. So those of you who are featured, you're going to be in the Innovation Summit. The way we manage ourselves is because we're very tech focused, is we use a very strong portfolio of online tools, the Google Drives, the AI software. It's very interesting. The AI software reads white men very well and doesn't transcribe everybody else very well. So that's been quite interesting. We've got 5 research assistants. That's Vinny is here with us today. He's one of our assistants. To date, we've interviewed 34 people. I have the Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg on Monday. 10 are from outside of South Africa and 2 focus groups. So some of you ladies will see your names up here. Thank you, Desi. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Sharon Rosmark. And I think we're also going to speaking. We've got Dawn and Debbie Jewett as well. So we had really great representation and cooperation from the Women in Drones group. And it just kind of gives you an idea. We've got people, the professor from Italy, we've got Zimbabwe, US, quite a few people from the US. We have the UAE, We have Netherlands. So it's quite a broad perspective. And you can never cover everybody, you can never cover everything, but we're really looking forward to sharing those insights when we get down to it. So what's going on inside this research? So what we're going to do is capture insights, because this industry is changing so fast. And I think all of you know this. Every minute you turn around and there's a new technology and there's a new advancement in software and someone is doing something really amazing and really brilliant. And it's really hard to keep track of. I mean, even for me in aviation, to sit with some of these guys and throwing all the terminology around, I also have to stop them constantly and ask them, what are you talking about? But what we really want to do is highlight and showcase success stories. I think when you look at all around the world, the economy is not doing incredibly well in every country. Maybe the US is doing well. And with South Africa, we have all these terrible stories. We need stories of something that's happening, something that's good, something that's there to get excited about. A piece that I think will be of really great interest for you and in general is we've got something called the 100 Uses of Drones that we're planning to do, where we're going to do a mind map. We're going to be using some software and mind mapping the opportunities in drones. And this is not us being experts, because we are not experts. We are the people who listen to the experts. So 100 uses of drones, every single one of our interviews, I think each one can come up with at least 10 different things on the way you can use drones. We will have a list of the current drone operators to the best of the information. What's quite interesting is it only looks like out of the 67 that are registered, the 24 are actually active. We will have sources of support and funding in South Africa. And we hopefully will have the input from young people with 2 focus groups. And then these are the preliminary chapters as it stands right now: the current scenario in the South African drone industry, the legislation and policy, which, as all of you know, is one of the major issues, the drone ecosystem and the stakeholders, of which groups like Women in Drones are really, really important. We're going to have a full chapter just on women, youth, people with disabilities, and SMMEs. We're going to have a section on opportunities in the future, which will feature the mind map, and then we will have conclusions and recommendations. And just so you know, I think this is it. This is my last slide. So where are we now? We are finalizing our research, which means we're continuing with our interviews. I have a handful left. I'm still chasing the Department of Transport. I've gotten the CAA. We're doing a professional research piece called codification and iteration. It's just a fancy term for how you go through and grab all the insights out of something, you get your key data. We're going to be finalizing desktop research. And of course, if you have something that's burning in your mind, or a paper that you know about, or someone you really think we must talk to, we're open. We still have probably about another 2 months before we're ready to release. And then we go into writing, editing, and design. I'm actually doing some of the writing right now. And then another thing that's really interesting that I want to put out there is we do want to share, especially since we're going to have quite a big audience at the South African Innovation Summit, we want to do a video. So far, we've got input from South African National Blood Service with their drone that they're testing. I've got footage of a farmer herding sheep in the Karoo. I've got footage of a guy launching a manufacturer of drones who has like a rocket drone. We've got all different kinds, but if anyone's got any ideas, thoughts, and process, we are really looking for more of a South African slant, but we're open, and we're looking for an editor as well. And then of course, we're gonna have our launch preparation, which is the drone publication, and we're also going to be launching AIFE at that point. So at this point, that's kind of where we are with everything. I don't know if anyone's got any major questions. That was a very short one. So we kind of open the floor and just say, does anybody have any key insights or thoughts or questions that they might want to ask?
Tamiko and Jabulile, thank you so much. I think I put in the comments, the industry needs this. So it's interesting. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand or put something in the chat. But I thought I would just, for everybody who doesn't know this, there was a industry insight paper that was commissioned a number of years ago by Kuwasa. In fact, Tamiko, I haven't told you this, and in fact, I'll try and get hold of it. And I think it was self-funded by some of the players in Kuwasa. But as far as I understood at the time, it kind of came across as quite political when it was presented. So the person who did the research and then presented it, I don't know, it kind of didn't seem neutral, or at least that's the feedback I got. The point is, Kuwasa, which is the Commercial Unmanned Aircraft Aviation Association of Southern Africa, was wanting to commission something again. And for everyone who's on this call, this piece that Tamiko and Dr. J and the team are doing is self-funded, I'm understanding, right? So yeah, this is not a small feat for anyone who, who's ever been involved in something like this. The amount of players that are involved and the amount of time that it takes to actually do the interviews and write it up and edit it and get it accurate and actually have something that's going to be used potentially to drive country policy, dare I say. So I think, first of all, well done on the initiative and the fact that you're driving this yourself. I think that's just a huge, huge feat. And I think, secondly, since I spoke to you, Tamiko, there's a whole lot of stuff that's kind of developed in the market, and I definitely need to connect you to some people and some more people. So I'd like to do that. But does anyone have any questions? I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't really see, but does anyone have any questions? I think the chat's got a few comments, so let me just read them. I'm trying to do this on my laptop and my phone, so I'm not being that professional.
I can respond very quickly, Kim. About 5-6 years ago, I did a policy paper, which I spoke about the last time I was on one of the Women in Drones where I spoke. And the result of that is it was written into the City of Johannesburg policy, economic development policy for entrepreneurship, which is a personal passion of both myself and Jabulile. I come from a background of writing publications for government. So we have a lot of understanding, and between Jabulile being a professor at WITS and a statistician, she will make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's and challenge us. And we understand the language of government. We understand that if you want to impact and have those discussions at that level, you need to understand where they come from. You understand how they create policy and how things come together. And there is a certain way to have that dialogue, particularly in an ecosystem environment. And being neutral partners, we do not have any vested interests in any way, shape, or form. We do not have drone businesses. I am not a drone pilot. Jabulile does not have a drone business. So for us, we're very, very neutral. So we have that advantage of coming in and being able to say, this is what we as external researchers see in the market. And we know the legislation and the legislation and the policy are a gigantic piece of what needs to be addressed right up front. Yeah, sorry, is there any comments or any?
Yeah, so let me just read them out quickly. So Queen and Lovu says, brilliant initiative, wishing you well, ladies, super proud of my mentor. Do you guys are connected to Queen? We love Queen. And Daisy says, such valued information, looking forward to seeing the results. Carolyn says, thank you for organizing and sharing such timely and proactive drone research. Okay, she has to jump onto another call. Daisy says, so much data, great work. That's fantastic. Louise, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. Yes. Again, I have to concur with Kim. Thank you so much for this study. It is so absolutely important because in some ways it feels like we're kind of floundering around and there's no direct direction in which we're going in because there's so much happening, and it's so important to have a document like this that can focus and start to drive entrepreneurship. but the thing I was going to ask was, you've said that there's quite a few people from outside of South Africa that's contributed. I'm just curious how far you feel that the environment within South Africa reflects what's going on in other African countries in particular, and how far do you feel that this document can be taken outside of South Africa and be used to drive entrepreneurship in neighboring countries within Africa, and who knows, perhaps even beyond?
I'd like to answer that, but before I do that, I'd like to just take a minute. Vinny, can you turn on your video and just say hello to everyone? One of the most important things we do is we have 5 young researchers. It's very important for us as part of AIFE. Vinny, when you get a chance, if you can turn on your video and just say hello to everybody, is bringing up young researchers and young people into what we do and exposing them to all the different. So Vinny, just want to say hello to everybody.
Good evening, good morning to all of you.
Hi, Vinny. So
Hi,
good to have you on, and great work.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here too, and so excited and looking forward to the outcomes of the publication. Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you, Vinny. Vinny taught himself to code when he was 16. So he's the kind of person who can look at this industry and say, wow, what can I do for myself? And so when we have our young team with us, they also guide us and give us feedback in terms of this is what would be interesting for them and their generation. And to your question, Louise, South Africa is very much seen as a leader in Africa. Where South Africa goes and what South Africa lays down as its legislation is very much picked up on, and what it does in its policy is very much seen as being the potential leader. And that's probably going to be one of our strongest recommendations, is that South Africa needs to pick up that level of leadership. And it has the capability in the government, it has the capability in the industry, it has the funding in the industry to make something like this very big. And although countries like Rwanda and Kenya have exceeded us, I don't think there's any reason that if South Africa picks up the mantle on this, that the country will be a leader in the African diaspora in terms of driving this industry forward.
Okay, thank you.
Gabriela, I want to add anything to that?
Yeah, if I may add on what Tamiko is saying, if you look at research in general, you find that most researchers, when they do their findings in the African context, they always try to position it as in developing countries. And what you will find with these developing countries is that a lot of things tend to be similar. The challenges, the policies, the approach, and all that. So you will find that as much as we interview a lot of people in South Africa, but you'll find that there will be a lot of things that can be transferable into the other African countries because we're all developing countries, though we've got different weaknesses and strengths and those kind of things. So we've positioned ourselves as an African organization, and it is our ambition that we don't close what we are doing to only support South African-based entrepreneurs, but to expand and transfer. Obviously, we'll tweak some of the things as we go along, but eventually to be able to service also the other countries in Africa.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. I just wanted to read out. So Desi, and this is a good point Desi makes. She says, I suggest you speak with Jennifer Birdsong, who's on here. She's very knowledgeable with youth and disabled education. Education in that space.
It's one of the things that we're missing. There's a woman who's writing a chapter on that area. Can you post your email address on the chat so we can get in touch with you afterwards?
I sure can.
That is the area we've been looking for. We've heard little bits and pieces, but we haven't been able to get as much information as we'd like. And Sibusiso Mhlangu, who's also often in the Women in Drones group, he is also one of our research assistants. He's just taking a break because he got behind in his dissertation, so we told him to take some time off.
I was going to ask where he is, because he was every week, and then all of a sudden he went missing. And I was going to reach out to him and ask him if he was okay. And so, okay, so he's being diligent, catching up. Good.
No, he's great.
Craig Wood
Yeah.
said, great initiatives. Where does the funding come from for this project? Oh, Tamiko answered it in the chat. It's self-funded as part of LFA, of which Jobile and I are co-founders. So yeah, that's what I said earlier on. Well done, really. I think that's a great thing you guys are doing. I had a question, and I think when I spoke to you, Tamiko, I had probably mentioned it, but there are some initiatives going on in South Africa that if you haven't already linked in, and maybe it would be a good thing to link in now, or at least when this is done and published, to link in then. But the Drone Council of South Africa has just, in fact, I think tonight will be the last chamber member updates in celebration of its first anniversary. And so it has 10 chambers, and part of it is really around driving the drone industry, driving diversification. It is the link into government that the drone industry needed to hopefully, knock the doors and get on the desk of the ministers like Stella Mboweni, Abrahams, also, kind of unlocking things in the DOT. And so whatever happens, they would definitely be able to input, but at some point massively benefit from what you guys are doing. I know you've spoken to Bugile, right? Have you managed to get hold of Irvin Peñane?
No, if you can help us with that, he's one of many people who, unfortunately, he didn't respond. If you can.
Okay, I'll reach out to the person who manages his diary, and I think it's really key that you guys speak. He has really strong ideas on where this is going and what needs to be done. Okay, so will you? I'm not writing notes at this point because I'm kind of perched on the side of a guest room table, but if you just remind me, I will connect you to Irvin. I'll make sure you guys can have a chat. And then let's see. The other thing is Department of Transport. I'll connect you to Andres, who there's some issues going on at the moment, or challenges that the Department of Transport has, specifically as it pertains to the Air Service License Council. But he sits in there, and I'm sure he'd be open to conversation.
That would be great.
So I'll try and connect you there too.
Keith Malejo gave me a couple names, but they keep passing me around. But we can get the government guys later, because I think it's the private sector and the operators such as all of yourselves whose views are really the most important. I think to take 35 different private operators, experts, educators, and different people and represent those views is probably more important than just getting government views, unless they're quite steeped in the drone background.
Yeah, I don't think they are yet.
But we're hoping that part of the process will be to take them through all those insights and consolidate them and say, this is what the industry is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Tamiko, in terms, and Dr. J, in terms of this launch in September, what is your plan for rollout? How will this be published? Where is it going to be, at a cost? Is it going to be at an event? Is there something that we can do to, again, the Drone Council might be a good launch pad, but I just wondered how you plan to roll it out.
Jabali, did you want to comment on that?
Okay, thanks for that question, Kim. Yes, so we plan to have some kind of an event and follow up talks and stuff after that. So it's not going to be only one event done complete. So it's going to be the one main launch event. And then after that, we'll continue with social media in terms and newsletters and those kind of things, because it's going to be a lot of information in one. So some people don't like to read a thick thing. So we'll kind of like make portions of it into smaller pieces and then continue with online conversations, short newsletters, and those kind of things. So far, we haven't spoken about making people pay for it, because when we started with it, the idea was that it's kind of like going to pioneer other things after that. So the main thing was first to get it out, just to get the information out and help people out, but not to make it at a fee, unless there's a special requirements for prints and those kind of things, then it's a different story.
Given the
Absolutely.
given the propensity of online data and the need for the information in the industry, particularly like sources of funding for entrepreneurs who are starting out, what I did with my previous publication was we did the online version for free, and it was on our website, and you had to register to get it, and then you went into our database, and then the printed one people had to pay for. But we will have some of those discussions when we've completed. But we're always open to any, one time I'll give you an example was another organization set up a meeting for me with 6 different government departments. So in one go, I had the Department of Communication, the City of Johannesburg, I had Economic Development. You don't really know sometimes who's going to take things up and say, oh, we need to coordinate this. I'm going to bring this together, the piece of research I have, and we present to 5 different government departments. So it could be, for example, human settlements. It could be agriculture. It could be it could be DTIC. It could be the Department of Science and Technology. So my thinking is, because the impact of the industry is so huge, we can't just talk to CAA and DOT. We have to talk on a much broader basis to say, this has impact for you in your industry. You are not only, this is potentially a supplier source for you, this is also potential for the people in your industry to grow their businesses. Police, you're looking at a number of different areas. So those are some of the things we have a chapter on legislation and policy. And those are the things we're trying to figure the scope of how far we're going to go with it right now. But I have had
Brilliant.
conversations with probably about 8 different departments in the past in different work. So it's a matter of finding the right people.
I think Irvin Peñano will be quite instrumental in that. I think he would definitely get people to, sit up and listen. Specifically, if it's something that's just got so much information that as an industry, we're trying to piece this together, but this piece of work that you're doing is just I think it's going to be a game changer for sure.
It will never have the level of detail that each of you has in your expertise. Louise, I will never be able to speak about precision agriculture. I will never be able to talk about the equipment that you use. Desi, I will never be able to go into the level, any number of you've got expertise in each of your different, we're not going to even probably talk about different models of equipment, because the equipment's changing so fast. We're going to more focus on the big picture stuff, which is, what is the policy? What is the legislation? How do we grow an industry like that? What do we need to do to free it up? And who's got answers to some? There are answers. There are people who have answers around the world. There are people with incredible examples of the different ways you can use the equipment, and you can translate that. But we're not going to get into the specific technical aspects which all of you address in your own businesses. We're going to talk more at the level where what's the bottlenecks in this industry? What does it need to be freed up? And Jabalile's got a lot of expertise in entrepreneurship, SMMEs, mentorship, and working with small businesses. So how do we make this an industry for small business women people with disabilities, and let's create an industry that levels the playing field, that creates different kinds of socioeconomic impact.
I think, from what you're saying, Tamiko, like one thing just pops into my mind. We updated the Drone Council chamber last night, the one that I chair, which is the new applicants chamber. And one of the things we updated the members on is the fact that, so two things when newcomers, graduates, or people that want to start their own business in this industry are interested in is, how do I get licensed, and how do I get funding to start my business? And then, of course, the follow-up question is, okay, so now what do I do with this, right? So the point is, a lot of people want to work in this industry because it's the hot new topic, and it's where it's perceived to be easy because, you can buy a drone in the toy store. And then the point is, okay, so I have all of this potentially. Okay, if I do, all right, now I'm going to go and look for a problem to solve. I have a solution, but I don't know yet what the problem is. Okay, so this is where we're trying to guide people. But even the ones that have solved this already, they know what they want to do. They maybe have a background in security, or they have a background in engineering, or they're a surveyor, and they now want to make a difference and actually get into the drone space. So they write the business plan. They've even had some coaching. Some of them have been through incubator programs, etc. And the thing is funding. Where are they going to get 200,000 Rand or 300,000 Rand to get their license and their drone, and maybe even, some advice along the way? And the big feedback is that these funding agencies that a lot of entrepreneurs know about and can access just haven't cottoned on to the fact that this industry is an industry that is up and coming. So the way that they get asked to submit their request is, and I've been, kind of repeating this a number of times over the last few weeks, but they get asked for 5 years of, audited financials. They get asked for an order book or a list of letters of intent. They get asked for, guarantees. And then they get told, well, we can't fund your licensing, we can only fund an asset, for example. And then the whole thing falls flat because our industry hasn't even been, up and running for 5 years. So the funding agencies, I think, would be a big or source of funding for new entrepreneurs would be a big topic, because two haven't matched yet.
I would say that there's three aspects to what you're bringing up. There's a legislative aspect, there's a business aspect, and there's an innovation aspect. For example, in Europe, if you want to get a drone license, it costs you 200 euros. That's like 3,000 Rand. It costs at least 30,000 to 50,000 Rand to get the equivalent drone license in South Africa. It doesn't, in the States, it also costs you, what, $500, Desi? It's I can't remember the exact numbers. It's quite, there's the legislative piece that doesn't allow small practitioners. There's 225,000 practitioners in the States. There's 67 in South Africa. How can you possibly have a drone pilot school if they have nowhere to go? They can't even afford to get into it. That's a total, but there are the answers in the legislation. There's, the EU has spent 15 years crafting their legislation. I understand, Kim, that either KUASA or Drone Council is going to put forth, Sanette Cox said she's going to put forward the European thing, which is to open up a whole nother level of capability on a small level with very strict restrictions on the safety side, to your answer, Desi. But what's probably really important, Kim, is not the finances. If there's no effective drone model, you need a drone business model that financiers understand. And that doesn't necessarily mean 5 years of financials. It means, what does a good drone business look like? What kind of financials should we be driving? What kind of aspects are in it? Yeah. So you can't have a funding model without a good drone model. And you need successful drone businesses that are making money to be able to create those models. And unfortunately, there's just not that many of them right now in South Africa. So first you need to deal with the legislation, then you need to build the business case, then you need to build the infrastructure in terms of how you're going to fund and assist innovation. So it could end up being something like a suggestion that you should have an innovation fund that goes to support both the creation of new technologies, which already exists in some areas, and then you should also have the ability for people to leverage up their businesses and grow their businesses. So those things need to be addressed, but if you don't deal with the legislative issue first, you don't have a market to talk about. And then you need the business case story, and then you need to build the innovative funding mechanisms. So that's kind of where I'm kind of going right now in my head with things, if that helps. Jabalile, do you have anything you want to add? Okay. Does that help, Kim? Because that to me is the logical flow of it. They can all happen at the same time. They have to, but that's really, and I do see people.
Yeah, so I just thought, let me just read it out. So Queen says, what about Jerry? Okay, so Jerry is our African drone blogger. He's a journalist, but he specifically focuses on the drone industry on the continent. So if you guys haven't chatted with him, I'll connect you to him as well, Jerry Davison. And no. Even when it comes to, you know, when you guys launch, he'll write you guys a very nice piece. He's awesome. Vinny says, plus a podcast. That'll be cool. You can do a podcast or you know, introduce kind of every chapter in a podcast kind of thing. Documented and recorded data is very hard to find, Desi says, which is true. People ask me all the time, do you have a drone paper? Do you have a white paper? I'm like, yeah, no, it's coming. Will you be covering the safety aspects of the industry? Desi asks.
Desi, the answer is no, specifically to safety, but the safety issues that are very important to aviation legislators need to be encompassed in the legislation. And probably the most tricky part of this, and this is something Jabalile and I have been discussing, is you cannot write legislation that harnesses people to a specific technology. The European approach is safety and risk first, and don't pin yourself down with the technology. So if you build in that it's a risk-based approach, where you will supply a flight plan based on the risk analysis, and it gets approved, but depending on your risk assessment, then you essentially take a lot of those safety issues away. So I'm not going to talk specifically about safety, but I'm going to say within the framework of the legislation, if you address the safety on a risk basis, then it's not, oh, according to what size drone and how big you can fly and how far you can fly and where your drone can go and what it can do. It's all about how much risk do you pose? And that's the basis of the European legislation, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And that's what we kind of are talking about when Sunette talks about the categorization model. Vuchila says, what system do you have in place to implement in making every research a success? Does the research, I think what's being trying to be said here is, is the research meant for the giants in the industry, or will you also be on the ground? Vuchila, have I grasped that question correctly?
Vuchila, do you want to clarify that so we make sure we answer it properly?
Yes. So basically, is the research meant for the giants in the industry only, or will you also be speaking to and gathering information from kind of grassroots?
I think Jabalile and I at heart are both, I've been an entrepreneur for 22 years. I have multiple businesses. I think Jabalile, I can speak for both of us. We would never write a piece of industry to support huge businesses. We would only be there to support small businesses. And at the same time, I'll say to you, if you were to put me in front of an audience of drone operators, I am not a drone pilot. I am not a drone ROC. I can't speak at that level, but we can speak from what we learn from the experts. But no, I would never write a piece of research to support large industry. They can commission their own research. They don't need us.
Exactly. Tamiko, I would, and Dr. J, I'm very happy to connect you to, first of all, the president of COASA, Sean Rates, if you haven't already spoken to him.
We've interviewed him. Thank you. We have. Yeah, he's great.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool. And then maybe one or two small operators, like Itumalem Mokwena. And she's done some really cool projects with the Human Settlement Department or Department of Human Settlements. They've done some informal settlement surveys.
Yes, she was one of the speakers.
Yes, yeah, I think she spoke last week. Yeah. And well, you've spoken, they're not a drone operator yet, but you've spoken to Clive Mate, right?
Oh, Clive is
So
great. Yeah, we've spoken to Adam Rossman, we've spoken to Clive Mate, we've spoken to Stefan van Vuren. It was actually Sibusiso who did all the research and suggested who I should contact. So he pretty much kind of knew a lot of people in the industry, and he vetted a lot of those different people. So that was very helpful.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the list is on that one slide. And if you think we're missing anything, or if anyone looks at it and says you should speak to this person, you haven't covered this industry, please let us know.
Do you know what I might do, Tamiko? If you want to send me that slide or send me the slide, the presentation.
I'll send you the 6 slides. It's just 6 slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be great, because then what I could do, if you don't mind, I'll share it with the likes of Irvin. I'll share it to the directors in the Drone Council, and I'll also share it with COASA Exco, or maybe even, maybe I'll share it with COASA Exco and the directors in Drone Council. You might get a flood of new people in, but that might be great, because you can pull what you think you're missing.
Okay, fantastic.
If that's what you need or want, I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah, I think what will end up happening, Kim, is we will get to a point where we will only be able to handle so many interviews. Yeah. And then what we probably do is say, can we come and share our insights with you when we're completed? So we'll probably do is say to COASA and what is it called, the Federal Aviation and the Drone Council, is let us come in and really go in depth and share the data that we have from the study with you. So I think it will be both a combination of maybe some interviews and then some sharing of the actual findings.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have you spoken to Sam Twala?
Yes, we had Sam Twala was excellent. We had Keith Malejo. We had the Professor Filippo from Italy, who's like this, who's telling us the story.
He's great. Hey, Louise, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was very knowledgeable. Very, very knowledgeable. So we had Desi, who's sitting here today. We've had you. We're going to get to Louise next week. We want to get those people who've been in the industry a while, because the insights and the thinking has been really, really great. So if there's anyone here who we haven't spoken to, who would really like to contribute more, we're very keen always to listen to any recommendations. And anything you suggest. You got any? I'll put I think our emails were on the slides, but
I posted your LinkedIn. Okay, there you go. Perfect. I'll save this. That's great. Are there any other questions? Does anyone want to comment? I'm going to do what I love, and I'm going to put someone on the spot here now. Craig.
Kim,
Queenie, go ahead.
You continue.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there was somebody on the chat, forgot now who was it, who asked a bit more info on the podcast. I think we did not respond to that person. I don't know whether Vinny wants to talk to that or Tamiko.
Oh, sorry, I might have missed that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Tamiko, do you want to talk to that, or is it Vinny who's working on the podcast part?
Oh, let Vinny speak to that. Vinny can speak to that because it's the youngsters who are going to tell us how to market and put everything on social media. So, Vinny, I'm keen to hear what you're thinking of.
Okay, so I just mentioned the podcast from the question that was posed about where are we planning to spread, how are we planning to spread the publication. So I mentioned the podcast as one of the sources or platforms which we will use to bring about different chapters of the publication. So it's something that's still in development. It's something that the team is still talking about, and we thought it could be something that's resourceful as well. That's all I have to say for now on the podcast. Yes, thanks.
Brilliant. We look forward to that. That'll be amazing. There you go. Desi says, keep us posted. I love podcasts. Brilliant. That's awesome. I'm aware of time, and these chats always fly by. And I would really like to thank Tamiko and Jabulile for an amazing, amazing fireside chat, and Vinny, and the whole team, Sibusiso, and all of those that we don't know. We are so excited to see the outcome. Tamiko, I will connect you to a few people. Maybe let's chat over the next day or two, and just make sure that you're connected to the few people that you haven't been able to get hold of. Let's see. And Queen says, thank you so much. Great session indeed. If you haven't spoken to Queen, you should as well. She has good insights. And once again, thank you to everybody who joined from all over the world. Please diarize this as your weekly drone date. It's the same link every time. As we said at the beginning, these are recorded and they will be posted out on the Women in Drones website. If you haven't already, please join Women in Drones. It's a massive platform which has got a lot of content and a massive network. And besides that, this is our little dates that we can share and get inspired, as I always say, and learn. And so please stay safe, everybody. Anyway, we have a lot of things going on in South Africa right now, so please stay safe on all levels. For those guys in the US that are boiling, stay cool. For us in South Africa, stay warm. And thank you so much. And Tamiko and Jabulile, it was a great pleasure, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.